The Master is a ninja-themed action-adventure TV series created by Michael Sloan which aired on NBC. The show focuses on the adventures of John Peter McAllister, an aging ninja master, and his young pupil, Max Keller. Most episodes focus on the mismatched pair driving around in a custom van, helping people in need along the way. Similar to its more well-known contemporary, The A-Team, The Master lasted 13 episodes before cancellation. The entire series was released on VHS by TWE in 7 volumes entitled The Master Ninja, The Master Ninja 2, The Master Ninja 3, etc., each containing 2 episodes in 1984 and 1985. Cast and crew. Notable cast and crew members include Lee Van Cleef, John Peter McAllister aka The Master, Timothy Van Patten, Max Keller, Sho Kosugi, Okasa, Demi Moore, Holly Trumbull, Claude Akins, Mr. Trumbull, C.L. Ugulaga, Mr. Christensen, Bill McKinney, Sheriff Kyle, Crystal Bernard, Carrie Brown, Cynthia Sipet, Shelley, David McCallum, Castile, George Lazenby, Mallory, Monty Markham, CIA Head, Diana Muldaur, Maggie Sinclair, Stuart Whitman, Mr. J. Hellman, Janine Turner, Gina Terry, George Maharis, Simon Garrett, Jack Helly, Brian Elkwood, Kabir Bedi, Kruger, Doug McClure, Patrick Keller, Mark Alimo, Straker, Mark Goddard, Paul Stillwell, Rebecca Holden, Laura Crane, Ed Burns, L.T. Ryan, Doug Toby, Mike, Sho Kosugi, Stunt Coordinator, Michael Sloan, Creator, Writer, Robert Klaus, Director, Duncan Shields, Stunts, Story, Premise. The Master follows the character of John Peter McAllister, an American veteran who stayed in Japan following World War II and became a ninja master. At the beginning of the series, McAllister, now an old man, leaves Japan for the United States in search of a daughter he did not know he had. This flight from his ninja life is seen as dishonorable by his fellow ninjas, including his former student, Okasa, who attempts to assassinate him. Escaping with a minor wound, McAllister finds himself in the small town of Elliston, where he believes his daughter resides. Along the way, he meets a drifter named Max Keller, who aids the ninja master in a bar fight, but is subsequently thrown through a window. A recurring event for the hot-headed Keller. Max desires to learn to fight like a ninja, but McAllister is reluctant to train him, feeling him to be too emotional. When Max gets involved in a dispute between Mr. Christensen, a ruthless developer, and the Trumbulls, her father and daughter who run an airport targeted by Christensen, McAllister decides to train him to survive. The pair goes on to have many adventures traveling the country in search of McAllister's daughter, although the show is cancelled before she is ever found. Keller and McAllister often get sidetracked by oppressed people, and invariably McAllister uses his ninja skills to help save the day, hopefully teaching Max at the same time. A recurring enemy is Okasa, the rogue pupil of McAllister, who continually tracks his old master down and tries to kill him. In the first episode, the two-duel McAllister wins. However, the old master refuses to kill his opponent, preferring to renounce his ninja ways, allowing Okasa to make further attempts in future episodes. Episode list. What follows is a list of episode titles and their original air dates, with synopses added where possible. 1. Max, see above, under, premise. 2. Out of time. Step. A ninja-guarded crime lord mistakes Max and McAllister for bodyguards hired by a nightclub owner the crime lord is trying to control. 3. State of the Union. Max befriends a biker chick, who is trying to organize a union at the cannery where she works. He and McAllister strike back when the cannery owner tries to strong-arm the girl and the union. 4. Hostages. McAllister is accused by a secret agent of helping a band of terrorists to prove his innocence. He must help rescue the hostages that the terrorists have taken. 5. High Rollers. A former girlfriend of Max's becomes a pawn in a Las Vegas heist when her daughter is held hostage to ensure her cooperation. The resulting adventure leads Max and McAllister to a deserted Western movie set, where the master makes himself very much at home. 6. Fat Tuesday. During Mardi Gras in New Orleans, a reporter uses Terry McAllister's name as a cover for her own sources, hoping to bring down a respected local citizen who is secretly running guns to Arab terrorists. Max and McAllister become entangled as a result. 7. Juggernaut. Max and McAllister help a mother and daughter organize the local farmers against an evil land baron. McAllister has more success romancing the mother than Max does with the daughter, and the old man's pre-ninja background as a military pilot is emphasized. 8. The Good, the Bad and the Priceless. Caught between a criminal mastermind and an FBI agent posing as McAllister's daughter, the two leads find themselves forced to steal the crown jewels of England. 9. Kunoichi. With the help of a female pupil, Okasa puts in motion a plan to frame McAllister for the murder of an old friend, who is now a prominent government official in Washington. 10. The Java Tiger. Max and McAllister take a break from the search for Terry to help out a friend of McAllister's, a bumbling pie, based in Hawaii, who is on a quest for a legendary tiger made of gold. Unfortunately, a Bond villain-like crime lord with a penchant for karate is also interested in the Java Tiger. 11. Failure to communicate. Max reunites with his estranged father Patrick, who is a pawn in a kidnapping scheme. Max is so preoccupied with family affairs that McAllister ends up chaperoning the two damsel-in-distress characters, played by Ashley Ferrari and Rebecca Holden, just about everywhere. 12. Rogues. A high school friend of Max's is now a cop, on the run from a band of crooked cops. A woman who runs a gym harasses McAllister about being out of shape. 13. A Place to Call Home. Max and McAllister protect an orphanage from greedy land developers, with Max playing surrogate father to a troubled teen. Recurring characters: John Peter McAllister, veteran of World War II and the Korean War who stayed in Japan and became the first Occidental ninja, trained Okasa in the ninja arts, took on Max Keller as his student upon arriving in America, a self-described cantankerous old man who's lived alone a lot of years. He is a stern but fair teacher, and a skilled fighter, though his age is catching up with him. Often grumpy and sarcastic towards other men, both friend and foe, but somewhat more mellow around Max, and politely flirtatious or self-consciously charming towards women. Several pieces of his colorful history come out during the series. He flew P-40s during World War II, visited New York in 1938, and attended a sort of conference of secret assassin organizations in the Far East in 1972, where he gave a martial arts demonstration. He met Brian Elkwood in Washington, D.C. in 1948, and the two men were subsequently imprisoned together in North Korea, but escaped by using a motorcycle. He has apparently visited Hawaii about 20 years ago. A friend who lives there has a daughter Max's age, whom McAllister remembers seeing when she was a baby. He denies having filmed westerns in Almeria, Spain with actor Saul Robbins c. 1969, but his reactions to Robbins's claim to remember him seem to suggest otherwise. He was perhaps on some kind of secret mission for which the movie project made a good cover. He always wanted to be a cowboy, but makes not wanting to dress up as one an excuse to turn down an ad exec who wants McAllister to shill for him. There are several recurring trains of thought that show up in his conversation, e.g., Eastern mysticism, but the closest thing he has to a catchphrase is probably, "No kidding," said in an exasperated tone to people's more obvious statements. Max Keller, a drifter who spends most of his time driving around in his custom van and taking odd jobs wherever he can find them. He has a pet hamster named Henry who lives in a dash-mounted, wheel-shaped cage. There are several indications that he has some money to fall back on. His van's customizations, the fact that he keeps an expensive-looking dirt bike and can afford to rent an ultralight plane. He often gets thrown out of bar windows. He has a bit of a temper, but is learning to keep that in check due to McAllister's training. Max never passes up a chance to get friendly with a pretty woman of his own age. Max is initially estranged from his father, a lawyer who sank into alcoholism after Max's mother and older brother died in a plane crash, but the two men reconcile late in the series. Max's mother wanted Max to be an accountant. Max went to the high school prom with a girlfriend who wanted to be a dancer on Broadway but ended up working in Vegas and having a child by someone else. At the prom, he danced one dance with the class nerd, who he meets again in the course of the series and become involved with. He grew up on the east side of New York, though his father lives in California. Okasa, a deadly ninja warrior once trained by McAllister. He has sworn to kill his former master due to his abandonment of the ninja code. Has engaged McAllister on several occasions with different levels of success. He is also a master of disguise. By the end of the series, he has himself trained at least one Occidental as a ninja. In his last duel with McAllister, he believes he is winning, and even manages to break the master's ninja toe, but loses when McAllister turns his overconfidence against him. He sometimes takes espionage-related jobs while pursuing his former master, but is more often working at cross purposes to the villain of the episode, Terry McAllister. The MacGuffin that triggers McAllister's return to America by writing a letter to him. She is constantly on the move, and has been spotted in New Orleans, Elliston, Atlanta, and New York, working briefly but very successfully as a fashion model in the last city. She is secretive about her personal information, never giving out an address or a phone number. In her modeling career, she rebuffed the villainous fashion designer and jewel thief Simon Garrett when he tried to romance her, and was on friendly terms with Gina, an FBI agent posing as an executive at the modeling agency. After Terry moved on, Gina impersonated her in order to trap Garrett, becoming entangled with Max and the Master in the process. Terry does not appear to have been aware of Gina's profession, and Gina's impersonation is aimed at people who don't know Terry well, so her behavior in the role should not be taken as necessarily typical of the other woman's. Terry herself is only seen in photographs. She appears as a strikingly attractive woman, somewhere in her mid- or early 20s, with dark blue eyes and heavy black hair. She is the result of a 2-month affair between McAllister and a woman called Laura Kennedy, at the end of the Korean War. McAllister asks Gina with sincere curiosity about Terry's mother, in a way that suggests he still has some interest in the mother of his daughter and believes her to be alive. In addition to her brief modeling career, she was also a pilot of racing planes for a time. Most information about her comes from Fat Tuesday and The Good, the Bad, and the Priceless. Both stories about women who know her vaguely and use her name to trap a villain. Ninjitsu mythology in The Master is an exemplar of the ninja of popular mythology rather than a realistic portrayal of contemporary or historical ninjitsu. But the series also has some surprising nods towards the actual practices of ninjitsu. For instance, most of the series have the heroes using shurikens for a variety of non-lethal tasks, throwing them to disarm an enemy, or using them as handheld knives to cut through window latches rather than the more stereotypical and lethal uses of popular mythology. There is also some emphasis on the spiritual or character-building aspects of ninjitsu, as the series calls it, using the older romanization. The first few episodes hint at a complicated and intrigue-filled ninja mythos, but this was largely dropped as the series progressed. Perhaps out of fear that giving McAllister a constant stream of Asian ninja adversaries would be seen as racist. The series makes reference to the ninja as a sect with different houses, apparently corresponding to dojos. The only two houses represented in the series use a butterfly and a snake as their respective emblems. The former animal symbolizes the human soul in authentic Japanese tradition, the latter has no consistent significance. Master, the title McAllister has, seems to mark him out as a high-level teacher and the head of a house, as does the silver medallion he wears. One succeeds to the headship of a house by killing the current master and taking his medallion, but there are presumably less violent methods of succession as well. McAllister's tendency to end duels prematurely by feigning injury or luring adversaries to charge through windows or into dangerous electrical equipment always takes his dueling partners by surprise, implying that his methods are not entirely honorable by their standards. Ninjitsu is represented as having had a dark and violent history, which it had turned away from during the time McAllister was involved. It is implied that the ninja are reverting to this darker and older tradition as of the series' time frame, and this may have been a factor in McAllister's departure from the sect. Lika, a character from Out of Time Step, is the only snake ninja encountered in the series, and he preaches a kind of anarcho-nihilism that uses this fictional ninja history as a justification for committing crimes. All the other ninja seen in the series are trained by McAllister or his pupils, and so belong in a sense to his house, which uses the butterfly emblem. The symbolism of this house's emblem and McAllister's heavy emphasis on the ki and the process of character building seem to indicate that this house specializes in Seishin Teki Kyoko, the ninja discipline of spiritual refinement. Cancellation. While the early to mid-1980s may have been a great period for action movies, TV shows, and video games, particularly ninja or general martial arts-themed ones, the Master did not attract a large enough audience to remain on the air. The series was later edited into a format similar to that of the TV movie, with 2-episode VHS tapes being sold under a new title, Master Ninja, followed by a volume number. No official Region 1 DVD release has been made. However, the first 2 episodes have made it to the Martial Arts DVD 50 movie pack produced by Treeline Films. Movies. The series was edited into 7 movies that were released on video in 1984 and 1985. The Ninja Master. The Ninja Master 2. The Return of the Ninja Master. Ninja. The Shadows Kill. Ninja. Warrior of the Night. The Ninja Strikes. The Ninja Man. Mystery Science Theater 3000. The series was featured on Mystery Science Theater 3000, a show which features a man and 2 robots forced to watch cheesy B-movies. The show featured the first 2 volumes of the re-edited Master Ninja tapes on episodes 322 and 324. Notable jokes included jabs at Lee Van Cleef's obvious stunt double and Timothy Van Patten's muffled speech pattern. The third installment of the Master Ninja series was scheduled to air as episode 624, but it was eventually replaced by Samson vs. the Vampire Women. Both episodes were released on Mystery Science Theater 3000, Volume 20 on March 8, 2011. This movie sucks. The pilot episode of The Master was also featured on the similarly oriented show This Movie Sucks, which is hosted by Ed the Sock, Liana Kay, and Ron Sparks. Shown as part of the Season 2 opener and shown as a double feature alongside the film Jesse James Meets Frankenstein's Daughter. The showing was notable for Sparks' Ron Ninja gag, which quickly became a favorite among fans.